Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. I appreciate you coming back for another episode. We are here on Coldborough Park Farm, episode number 7. And boy, has 7 been, I believe in some parts of the world, the number 7 is unlucky. It certainly might be here in Coldborough Park Farm. This is basically going to be the third time that I have recorded episode number 7, and it's been mainly the issues have been caused by the first attempt at episode number 7 that I attempted was kind of down to courseplay, behaving so erratically and trying to do some seeding, and ended up kind of scrapping that recording just because of that, and then I reattempted to record episode number 7 sort of late on Saturday, and to be quite honest, I was just I was kind of tired, and that's something that I have noticed that, you know, and I'm sure that some of the other YouTube guys can probably vouch for me, that when you are, you know, when you're less than feeling optimum, not sick or anything, I was just tired, and didn't really have much to say, and so yeah, I decided that I would just go ahead and scrap that as well. I think we had pretty much harvested that big field sort of in front of us, field number, what is that over there, 8, I think is the one that has the steep downhill. Right now I'm seeding that one with courseplay. And so I just kind of thought, it's Sunday morning, and as I had maybe indicated in a previous episode, I am going to be traveling. Going to actually be, let me back this up just a little bit. There's no, try not to bend the gate there. There's no easy way to sometimes get the header and everything into these fields without destroying a little bit of crop. And when you have crop destruction turned on, this is just what happens. And unfortunately, I believe that the crop destruction is a little more severe than what I think you would experience in real life. Yes, tractor tires, the combine header tires would trample and destroy some of the crop, but it wouldn't make as big of a mess out of it as what the crop destruction mod certainly does with it. But that's okay. First we need to unfold, of course we do. But that's okay. I mean, it's better to have these things represented some, even if they're not 100%, or even if it's maybe a little bit exaggerated or whatever, than to have it not represented at all. I mean, when you drive through a crop of, this is soybeans, and if nothing happens at all, nothing gets trampled down, nothing gets ruined or whatever, then obviously that's not very true to life. So again, it's better to have it, even though I think it's a bit exaggerated, than to not have it at all. And maybe at some point in time, you know, it can be adjusted a little bit better, where it's a little bit more accurate, I think, as to what we might see in the real world. So thanks to everyone who is watching. You know, normally I save this until sort of the end of my episodes, but I do want to just mention that if you guys have more time in your schedules, in your YouTube video farm sim schedule, to where that you can watch some more quality YouTube Farm Sim 17 content, and even some Farm Sim 15 content, make sure you check out the guys that are in my featured channels list. You'll find my good friends Eustace, Pharmer, Mr. Species7, TBF Gaming, Multi-Mikey123, Wheels247, Reefy 1952, The Bipolar Prophet, Shawnee B, Disco. You'll find those guys in my featured channels list. And these guys are excellent YouTube guys. One of the reasons why I enjoy watching their channels, and one of the reasons why I put them as a featured channel or a friend, or wow, what just happened there? Let's try that again. Maybe we've got something that's weird there. I don't know if it's an elevation change, if we've got some crop that's not maybe not the same or something, but that's weird. Anyway, one of the reasons why I've got these guys in my featured channels list is because they are very similar to my own style, to my own not only farming style, but also my style of helping people and sharing knowledge and giving back to the community. That is so important to me. I have been a fan of giving back for years, for decades. I mean, you might remember, and I've talked about this before, and I do apologize if if I sort of, well, I'm getting to become an old man, so talking about some of the same stuff over and over, well, that just happens with age. So for you younger people, that will happen to you someday, and for you older individuals that are closer to my age or maybe a little older than myself, then obviously you know, because you experience it yourself. But I have been involved in simulation gaming for many years. I mean, since the midpoint of 1980. So I graduated from high school in 1985, and my apologies if that makes some of you older than me feel even older. Sorry about that. I graduated from high school in 1985. That was around the time that I was also sort of heavily playing Flight Simulator on the Commodore 64. And of course, if you are familiar with that genre of simulation-based games, going back to the Commodore 64 or the some of the even earlier computer-based platforms, and you know how sort of crude and sort of less graphical as they certainly have become with flights FSX and P3D and X-Plane, etc. But anyway, it was a simulation, flight simulation, and there wasn't much community around it back then, because again, this is pre-internet age. But that at least got got me excited about simulation-based games. And while I played some first-person shooters and other types of role-playing video games and stuff, I really mostly enjoyed the simulation aspect. If I can do something, if I can simulate something, and I tend to be more interested in simulating some kind of mechanical process, either an airplane, a train, a tractor, a truck, something like that, versus some of the other pseudo simulation based games I've not really been that interested in. But so in other words, you're probably not going to find me playing Surgeon Simulator or something like that. I would rather be farming and plowing and driving a train or a plane or something, or a truck or something like that. But anyway, when I really got hooked into the flight simulation community around the late 1990s and early 2000 time period, I became involved with the concept of virtual airlines, which is very similar to some of the virtual trucking companies that have been around in the last couple of years to kind of support ETS2 and ATS, etc. And it's just really just a community of like-minded individuals who fly for a virtual airline, and it could be a real world type airline like American or FedEx or Southwest or British Airways, something like that, or it could be a completely fictional type airline. And then the communities and everything that have popped up over the years to support these various different forms of simulation-based games, whether it be, and again, I'm kind of going back to the flight sim thing, like with AvSim, with Flight Sim, some of those websites that sponsored add-ons and stuff. I mean, I don't really think we called them mods back in the day with like the Flight Sim community, but certainly as you would compare these kind of things to Farm Sim and ETS2 and ATS and some of the other type games, yes, they very much were mods, various add-ons, and there were so many very talented add-on developers, modders, who really gave of their time and their talent to create, freeware type aircraft, freeware type airport sceneries and whatever, to really give back to the community. And I've always been supportive of those. Well, but I've also always been supportive of individuals who want to help others get a little more out of. By the way, I did tweak my brakes just a little bit. I think I need to tweak them a little bit more. But anyway, individuals who really want to help share and give back, and we all started out brand new to whatever genre of simulation-based game that we tend to enjoy, whether it be flight sim, whether it be train sim, farm sim, truck sim, whatever. We all basically were new. We all found ourselves at this exact same point that we've all been at, and that is basically purchasing the game, installing the game, launching the game, and basically staring at it and going, oh my god, wow, I mean, this is so cool. And to be quite honest, I think that with Farm Sim, gosh, I had seen some Farm Sim videos before I started playing it, and I sort of questioned, well, is this really something that I would be interested in? And sort of took a hint, took a risk and purchased the game, and then once I started playing it, then oh my gosh, wow. But work tool needs to be refilled. Okay, well, we'll handle that at a different point in time off camera. What I will do though is, because just bear with me here for a moment as I just head over here and oh, and he was almost done. Look at that. He was almost done. Okay, no big deal. We're going to stop the driver to get rid of that message, and then we're just going to go back here. So sorry about that break in immersion, but and we don't need that. So, but we're all faced with staring the game as it's brand new, in square on our computer screen, and going, wow, what a fantastic game this is, and then sort of realizing that there's so much more potential to it through mods and add-ons and whatever. But my point being is that we've all been at this particular point in time where we're faced with wanting to get more out of something, maybe not necessarily knowing exactly how to go about doing that, and having questions about mods, having questions about a process or whatever. I mean, I would wager to guess that the vast majority, and I'm talking the high 90 percentile, and this is a completely unscientific statistic that I'm throwing out there because I've not bothered to set up a poll, I've not bothered to query anybody, I'm just thinking that I'm probably pretty darn close, but I would wager to guess that a very high percentile, 90+% of the people that are playing Farm Sim 15, 17, 13, whatever, have absolutely very minimal, very little farming experience whatsoever. As I have talked about, in my high school time frame age, growing up in somewhat rural Texas, I had some experience with driving farm machinery, with working part-time on a farm, doing menial tasks like stacking hay, hauling hay, that sort of thing. As a project, I raised a pig as a high school ag project, and that included having that pig bred and raising the piglets for a period of time until I could take them to the county fair and sell and be judged on the pigs, the hog and the pigs, and then sell everything at auction. But for the most of us, again, for the majority of folks that are spending any amount of time with this game, we have very little experience, and certainly we don't have the day-to-day kind of experience. In other words, we're not actively out running combines and plows and tractors, maybe miniature kind in our back gardens, but we're not running this big scale stuff, and then coming in and setting down after a hard day of plowing and combining and raising pigs and cows and sheep and stuff, and then setting down and spending 2 hours or so or more a day playing Farm Sim 17. And by the way, I have just passed the 200-hour mark on Farm Sim 17, and it's only been out for just a couple of months. So, but as I've said, this is my number one stress release. So, but back to these guys, back to my featured channel list. These are guys who, if you have a question, if you see something in their video, if you have a question and you ask a question, they're going to take the time to answer you back. In other words, they're very good about monitoring their video channels, their YouTube channels, for questions and comments, and for the most part, these guys practically respond to just about everything, any sort of comment that's left, especially questions, and that's hard to do because YouTube doesn't always notify us as a channel owner. I don't necessarily get every single comment, or I don't get a message from YouTube saying that someone has left a comment on one of my videos each and every single time. And so it's sort of my policy is that I tend to go in and check for a period of about a week or two, about 2 weeks, on some of the older videos that I put out. And sometimes that's a little bit of a struggle, because if I'm releasing 6 episodes a week, in other words, Monday through Saturday, that could mean me having to go in and check, 10 or 12 videos just to make sure. But it's the responsibility that I don't mind assuming, because I know how important it is to individuals who are starting out and who are trying to learn something or have a question about something, and desperately need that knowledge, need that information. And it is somewhat saddening to me, because I have certainly been on that end of the spectrum, where I've got a question and I go out and I post it on somebody's YouTube channel. I make a comment on a video that they've done, and I ask a question, and crickets. I mean, absolutely crickets. I don't hear anything from them. And that's somewhat sad, because especially when someone bothers to say, if you have a question or a comment, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. You know, when they go so far as to say that and then they don't do that, they're not monitoring their channels. And I completely get that we all have schedules outside of the gaming world, outside of the YouTube world, etc., etc. We all have things, sometimes better things that we have to do or more demanding things that we have to do. And so forward, Jerry. And that's understandable. It's completely understandable. And yeah, so, but each of these guys on the featured channels list, you know, I watch their videos when they release videos, and I sort of, you know, I sort of know them. I don't know them personally, but I know them through YouTube and through like the 3 Dudes Gaming website, forum website, and PCSG, etc. And I know that they care. They care about the community. They do this. They do this as an extension of the hobby. You know, the gameplay itself. A lot of people will say, you know, this is just a game. It is just a game. And in theory, yes, they're absolutely right. This is just a game. But with all of the communities and everything that are associated with, for example, with Farm Sim, with the Truck Sim communities, especially with Flight Sim communities, there is an entire community. There's an entire community-driven aspect to it that is almost, you know, it's social, and it's almost like, you know, it's almost like Facebook, but it's completely dedicated to just the genre, and it becomes a hobby. It becomes very much a hobby-centered thing, and it's cool. And so for people that give back, that want to give back to their fans, to their friends, to whatever, I will always support them. I will always take my hat off to those individuals. And you know, so many of us, this is just a hobby. This is not, you know, this is not any way of earning any sort of living. Yeah, most of those guys do have advertising turned on, and for the most part, anything that they make, they are giving that right back into the community aspect through giveaways and stuff. I mean, you know, yes, some of the channels, like Daggerwin, for example, Squirrel, some of those guys, yes, they have relationships with Giants or with SCS or with whatever, and they have, you know, they get granted licenses to give away. But the guys like me, no. I mean, my relationship with Giants is when I put my credit card in to, you know, purchase a license of FS17 for either myself or for a giveaway or whatever. That's the way that works. Okay, so I am just been sitting here just kind of rambling, and we're going to break immersion for just a second and drive up and sort of fast track up to this guy, and we're going to drop him there, and we're going to need to go back and grab a tipper and maybe, just maybe, check on and see what is going on with the Fent Vario and find out what he is slipping on. I honestly would not spend my time, and it does take time. It does take time to produce YouTube content. Don't let anyone, if you haven't, you know, if you're not making YouTube videos yourself, so obviously then you don't know. Don't let anyone fool you to think that, you know, it just takes us just a few minutes to do any of this and whatnot. There's, you know, I mean, yeah, I suppose there are folks that maybe just, you know, turn the recorder on and then stop the recorder and upload whatever that, whatever came from that point A to point B, and maybe they're not, maybe they're not providing the kind of commentary and the let me just break immersion one more time, folks. Sorry. Let me do this so I can get my mouse. We'll go to this guy here. We'll see what he's hung on. This pole, he hasn't gotten very far, but that's okay. Stop the driver. Okay, back to this guy here. So, the part of what I love about this, and the only reason why I record my gameplay and take the time to do some editing and polish some things up and really try to focus on what I do and how I do it, and try to use realism as much as possible. But the reason why I do this YouTube thing is to give something back, to be able to answer some questions, to be able to help folks out, and it's such a to me, in my opinion, it's a rewarding kind of thing. I mean, I guess there's some people that do it solely for vanity, that want their 15 minutes of fame every single episode that they upload, but not me, and I don't think any of these other guys that I tend to follow as readily as I do, they're not doing that either. It's not vanity at all. It's to give back. It's to help others out, because again, as I sort of started out saying at the top of my my rant, probably, if this is in fact could be considered that, is that we've all been exactly where some of these individuals are. And of course I did not get close enough. There we go. We've all been exactly where each of you are. I mean, for those of you, like for example, with Tyson, with Dyla, Tyson just got FarmSim 17, so just give a big shout out to Tyson. I hope you're enjoying it, buddy. He got it as a gift. A friend of his bought it for him as a New Year's present. You may remember that Tyson was our original winner on the 100 subscriber giveaway, and so but Tyson since he had already received it, he wanted it to go to someone else that didn't have FarmSim 17. So, being the stand-up guy that he was, he basically relinquished the prize, and I drew again, and Dyla received that, and so now he's brand new to FarmSim 17, and it's Sunday morning. It's the 8th of January, my time in Denver. And I know that I saw that Tyson was playing FarmSim 17 on Steam. So I hope you're both, Dyla and Tyson, I hope you guys are enjoying it, FarmSim 17. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section, and I'll certainly answer them the best that I can. Tyson actually asked a question from one of my Lawfolds videos about the extra information in the lower right HUD. That's the game extension mod for FarmSim 17 that was released through Modding Central. And so, and of course, if you see a mod on my spreadsheet, or I'm sorry, if you see a mod in my videos, you will find that mod, you'll find the link to that mod in my mod spreadsheet, which can be found at grizzlybearsims.com. So you have that ability to go out and look for that. But if for example, if you don't know what the game extension mod is, and you wouldn't necessarily know what that little graphic as far, the little engine symbol. And to be quite honest, I don't necessarily know what that actually is telling us. Obviously it's illuminated green. I think if we stop our combine, it turns white. Obviously if we turn our combine back on, it turns green. I think that there will be more that will come of that. And also if we just hop out here and we back up, if we go over to our crop, this is what's called the Pharmer's Touch, and this is turned on and off through the mod itself. And basically to bring the mod up, you press the letter I on your keyboard, and you can come in and you can turn these things on and off. So Pharmer's Touch is on. Pharmer's Touch only works if screenshot mode is off. And then there's some other settings over here that your AI, whether you can tab through vehicles, the overtime rate, if you want to restrict chainsaw usage, like if you're on a server, that's a cool feature. But essentially this extension mod tells us that our soybeans are at 100% ready status, the growth status. Now, it does not currently work if we're in a crop that is not yet ripe. So if we're in a field that you own and the crops are in the green status of still growing, it won't tell you anything. That little HUD doesn't pop up. But that is going to be something that will be that'll be a feature that will be added in time, and will be quite cool. So that's kind of some of that. And maybe I'll go into a little bit more detail of we're pushing up on a half hour here, and but I will probably go into a little bit more detail on the game extension mod at a later date, because I've had several questions about it and such. And so, you know me, I like to answer questions. But I'll tell you another reason, and this is probably one of the most important, is other than, you know, giving back to the community and everything, it sort of keeps me fresh. It keeps me sort of on my toes, being able to help answer questions. And I may not know the answer just off the top of my head, but you know, I may do a little research and try to help you out. So, but anyway, we are at a little bit over 30 minutes, and this episode is going to stick. So this is going to be our episode number 7, and the other 2 episodes will just go in the digital waste bin. Not a problem. We're pretty much at this particular point in the game, in our gameplay for this map and this seasons and such. We have just a few more fields that we need to harvest and get that late fall winter crop off the field, so that we can then plow and basically reseed and rinse and repeat and get everything going again. So that is what we're doing sort of now in mid-spring. This will probably be the last video for this particular game day. We will probably, when we come back for episode number 8, I will have most likely fast forwarded to late spring to game day number 3, and we'll start our tasks that we need to get done. And obviously it's going to be a little bit of sort of the same harvesting and fertilizing, and we need to probably mow some more grass and bale some more both grass and hay and silage, because on this map we are doing silage bales. So we are wrapping hay and letting that turn into silage, because there is an issue with the silage clamp on this map, on this version of this map, at the farm there where the dairy cows are. And so we're just going to do silage bales, because that's just the easiest way for us to handle that right now. And I thank you all for watching. I do. And please come back again very soon for either another episode of Coldborough Park Farm or Lawfolds, or eventually we'll get Goldcrest Valley, Stevie's edit going again with our winter episode. So thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it, Hope you have a wonderful day and evening, morning, weekend, whatever the case might be. And I look forward to when we can come back together again and share more farm sim fun. Thank you all for watching. Take care now. Bye-bye.